What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go. Okay, quick reaction to the trade. Davante Adams to the New York Jets. Headlines, the hype, rap sheet, one of the biggest in-season trades in recent memory. It's like, yeah, this feels like one of your classic NBA trades. This honestly feels like the Lakers under LeBron. And they get talked about a lot. Any move they make feels really significant. Trading for older players who were once stars gets you great headlines. But let's be real. And one thing is the Lakers with LeBron is dramatically better at the latter end of his career than the guy we're witnessing, Aaron Rodgers, who's not bad, but no longer a great player. And even when he tries extra hard and really like puts it all on the line, as he did on Monday night, he clearly is a shell of his former elite self. And it's like, will this help? Well, they lost the game last night. They were getting shredded on defense. This is a team that, like, number 2 on defense. Ray Davis, 4th-round pick, ran the ball right down their throat. Josh Allen at any moment could run wherever he wanted to go. So, like, could they score an extra 5-6 points a game on average with this? Okay, maybe. But their defense isn't nearly as good. And you don't, like, people, I would imagine, think Belichick's being really personal, constantly taking shots at the Jets. I look at a guy who's at a front row seat, playing this organization twice a year in this division, living the AFC East for 2.5 decades, and just laughs at basically everything they do. And for the last 15 years, no organization has been, I would say, more rudderless, that is just a primetime needle moving because of the market than the Jets. And this trade is going to get a lot of hype. I don't think this changes my view this upcoming week. Like, they had to win last night. I truly believe that to save their season. Because now, if you lose this game in Pittsburgh, like, you're done. You're 2-5, then the Patriots, then the Texans. It's like all of a sudden you're 3-6, you're 4-7. Like, you're not good enough to build yourself out of a hole, especially with a defense that's not as good. A head coach who's never been a head coach. People talk about Todd Downing like we just called Mike Shanahan out of retirement. Like, give me a break. And this is classic, the hype machine, the names, the fame. This is not how the NFL works. Honestly, it's not even how the NBA works, but it feels very similar that you get so much. We traded for Russell Westbrook. Like, well, yeah, it was dominant 4 or 5 years ago, but it's 2024. You know, like, it's like this trade can move up if he's an all-pro and I'm pro Davante. But to act like you just traded for Jerry Rice in his prime. Now, listen, was he actually hurt on the Raiders? I understand. These are dysfunctional organizations. The Raiders, the Jets. You know what really sheds light on this whole situation? Is how Aaron and Davante have to look back and go, God, we had a pretty damn good in Green Bay. It doesn't get much better. Was it perfect? Oh, obviously, there were some things that you would have liked them maybe a little more aggressive in free agency. Maybe, be a little more aggressive in contract talks with us. But this notion that, like, they acted like they were on a 747 and they were sitting in the back of the plane next to the shitter. No, like, you guys were in first class and you got bored because it was a long flight and you thought there was better out there. And there just wasn't. And you chose the Raiders, the Jets, and then you've kind of forced the Raiders to trade you to the Jets because Aaron wanted you and you wanted out. It's like, it's kind of sad. That's what I'd say. One of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL for a long period of time. Their careers were derailed because they told the Packers, who just are an elite organization, trade me. Get me the bleep out of here. I mean, that's what Davante did. Aaron, little bit of both. It was a tug of war between the two of them. But he started it by, like, Gudikins, you're just, he didn't even have an answer. And now you're on the Jets, a team that hasn't sniffed the playoffs in 14 years. You ain't going to the playoffs again. anyone who thinks, I hear everyone in the media like the Jets, they're going to win and they're going to beat Buffalo Monday night. Bullshit. Who in the fucking right mind thought they were going to beat the Bills on Monday Night Football? Way better quarterback, way better organization, way better coach. You're going to beat that team? Your defense is the most overhyped defense in recent memory. We talk about them like they're the 2001 Ravens or the 85 Bears. It's like, fuck, can we, the LOB Seattle Seahawks. Let's pump the brakes. They have a couple good players, but you're rolling out Javon Kinlaw. Here's what I know. If I'm another team, I can't wait to play you because I'm going to look for that guy and I'm going to run the ball right at him. What did the Bills do? Where's 54? Run the fucking ball right at him. And they did all night long. Honestly, they should have done it more. They got a little pass happy in the second half. And obviously the referees threw it out of whack. But the constant like, oh, the Jets, the Jets, the Jets. And I'm not anti-Jets at all. Like, this is not, I don't have some personal vendetta. I just think the reaction about what this was supposed to be and what it always was going to be was just, you could see it from a mile away. You could see it from a mile away. This is your classic desperation move from a desperate team. And in football, and really most times in sports, it never, ever works. And the only chance it has to work is when you got really good coaches who know what they're doing. And you have a good organization who knows what he's doing. You know, if the Detroit Lions were to be like, hey, they just traded their entire draft in 2025, their entire draft to the Raiders for Max Crosby, you'd be like, damn, that's pretty desperate. It's like, yeah, but I feel like they kind of know what they're doing and it's worth the risk. You could say a third round pick isn't that valuable. I tend to agree, like, whatever. But this is an organization that I have no faith that knows what they're doing. Like, all these people, and I'm not rooting for anyone to get fired, but like, they've already fired their head coach. This team is, you lose this week, say sayonara to the playoffs, every single person in that building is going to get fired. Like, every single human. And then the question is, like, who's going to be lined up for this job? Now it's football. That there are only 32 head coaches, 32 GMs. They, you know, the average head coach makes $7-8 million. GMs make millions. Obviously, people would take the job, but to act like it would be some like desirable location for people to stake their career. Ask Joe Douglas, who was one of the most sought after GMs in years, and the Jets came after him. If it was worth it, he made a lot of money. I think he got like well over $30 million contract, so it created generational wealth for him and his family. But like, is he ever going to be a general manager again? Is Joe Douglas ever going to be a general manager again? Robert Saleh is not going to be a head coach again. I would never say never, but at least for the foreseeable future, I would say minimum like 6-7 years. So it just ruined those guys' careers. Look at what it did to Rodgers. Look at what the Raiders did to Davante. When you sign up and you have control and you pick these destinations and then you complain, I feel no sympathy. I have no problem when a guy's drafted somewhere if he complains, like, you had no control over it. But in these situations, when you're dictating the terms of where you're going to end up, and then you bitch and moan and people are getting fired and you start operating as a pseudo GM and getting coaches fired, even if they're terrible. Like, I don't blame, if Rodgers wanted him fired, I don't even blame him. Robert Saleh sucked. Okay, that's fine. I don't, if that's what he thought, okay. But like, you're in this kind of hamster wheel now of like, this is what bad teams do. They start calling their highest paid player, like, what do you think? Guess what Belichick never did? Called a fucking soul on the squad and asked him what he thought. Guess what they did for 20 years? Beat the shit out of everybody. You think Andy Reid's on the horn to Kelsey and Chris Jones all the time? Like, what are you guys thinking? No, tells them what to do, and they do it. Then they win. Right? Maybe he does ask Patrick a thing or two, but it's not like Patrick's in on the executive meetings. It's not how football works. It really isn't. And it works a little bit like that in the NBA, but how many NBA teams sniff relevancy? Most of them lose. And most of them overpay all these guys and never have a chance. Like, never. I mean, it's just, this is your classic You just obsessed with trying to be relevant. So you get this 40-year-old guy and you just hitch your wagon to anything he wants to do. And I just think that this situation is going to blow up in their face. And the more and more you do stuff like this, it makes the inevitable, which is under 500, not being in the playoffs, feel that much worse when you take your key cards and your laptops and your iPads from all these people when you fire them early January.